Yeah, absolutely. Tiny, though. You know? Tiny's a bit of an issue, I think, John. We'll see see what they do about it. Like, they went to the TA route, the DP route. Fair enough. I don't care how many broken heroes you choose against Tiny, John. Tony doesn't move for anybody. You ain't got the stones. Whoa, hold on a minute. Glasses are off. Johnxfire. Don't open those eyes, John. We can't afford it, Jonathan. Don't open the eyes. We can't take actually seeing your eyes anymore.
No. It's just a bit too, dirty here, so I got to clean up. But yeah, like you've got the DP and the TA. I like the response from Polaris though. Like they've got the AA, and as you mentioned, a Tiny versus TA matchup. Again, there's a way for the TA to work that. Like you work towards your Desolator, Dragonlance. There is a moment where you can melt through the Tiny, especially if he doesn't get additional armor, outside of Grow. So you can still work the Tiny matchup. It's not as easy as you'd expect though, and you have to have your team's backing. Neon do pick up the Bane and Timbersaw here for some additional control and a way of dealing with two strength heroes now. Tiny and Pangolier are going to have to work against that. Timb, I love the response from Polaris though, straight for a Snapfire. So they've got really good team fight now. You've got a ton of hold, although not the most reliable, but still a ton of hold. You've got a good way of clearing out the grip from the Bane, although if the Pangolier is held down, that job is mainly down to Tiny or the AA if he does manage to get the cold feet off. And of course, kisses are always going to be big presses, and it's not going to be the simplest Timbersaw game now either. I mean, these are still strength heroes on Polaris' end, but they have a lot of magic damage. And you did pick Timbersaw into AA, so you're leveraging your regen isn't quite as easy with a reactive armor anymore, just because of that AA blast coming through, removing that regen. And it just feels like Polaris has much stronger answers. I think what we need to see from Neon is maybe a more favorable matchup against Tiny. Like you have TA, you might as well try to go greedier, go for a safe laner that gives you strong ways of fighting against Tiny. We've seen Lifestealer tried out before. You could try, going for traditional long range carries. Drow, Dusa could be one way. Dusa was banned out, but the Drow is still an option. TB is a decent option, but doesn't feel great against all the magic damage here from Polaris. So I think the Drow would be a safer bet. And that could be one way for them to go here on Neon's end. Like just have Drow versus Tiny matchup. TA can hold the lane for the most part up against most mid matchups. So you don't worry about that. It is greedy, but you are up against Tiny. You kind of are forced to try to be greedy because Tiny's always going to have farm earlier on anyway.
That he will, John. Final banouts to come before we can see these drafts continue. Neon, just focusing on the mid lane right now. I think we can safely assume it's not a mid snap fire to come out from Polaris, though. I guess you never know. Chances are it's not, though. I'll get rid of the Queen of Pain. One more for Polaris before we can continue. Seems like they've been kind of the Kunkka flexible pick. Could have been pos 1, could have been pos 2. They'll get rid of that. Maybe another mid laner to be banned out. Just kind of depends where you want to throw the TA, where you want to throw the DP.
I'm concerned for Neon. They've left Lelouch's Leshrac in, right? Like I don't see it in the bans. So I am a bit blind, but if that Lesh does slide through for Polaris as the last pick on mid, it's a good lane matchup against TA. It can melt through Timbersaw, burn through the magic shield on Hood of Defiance quite well. And ban the Earth Spirit too. So just maybe protecting that back line. Neon will go for the Bat Rider, so it looks like our TA is on safe lane, Bat Rider mid. So just having this really good hold, good aggression coming out from Neon. No way to save here on Polaris. Your supports don't have a way of breaking off that lasso, so you have really strong early initiation once that blink is up for Neon, and you can just run down the side of Polaris. Polaris are still looking for them. Bat Rider makes it a bit awkward. We have seen a couple of Bat Rider versus Lesh, and I think that was Lelouch playing that lane. So it could still come out if they wanted to. Again, you could go for the Lelouch mid Pango here as well, though against Bat Rider, not the comfiest time for Pangolier. You can play with Swash, but the cooldown is pretty severe until it's maxed out. So not the best of times there. Would much rather something like that Leshrac, I think.
Yeah, I'd certainly agree with you on that. They are going to go down the Razor route instead, which it's pretty in meta right now, Razor. very nice against the Templar Assassin. It looks like Natsumi is going to be on the POS 1 Razor, so Lelouch is going to take mid Tiny here for Polaris. And, well, that's something I wasn't quite expecting, and I personally really don't like mid Tiny right now, but I guess in the right hands it can still work out quite nicely. So see how it works. See what they can get done here. I kind of erred towards Neon's draft a little bit more this time around, I think. Even with the Tiny, I just think it's a bit wasted, in my opinion, in the mid lane.
It does feel wasted, and your matchup doesn't feel great. Batrider is going to be able to run around you in circles. You have the Avalanche and Toss to threaten, as you will still kind of opt for like a 4-4-1 build on Tiny, but Batrider doesn't care. You know, he's going to get a lot from that lane, it feels like, unless Lelouch absolutely outplays him in Avatar mode missteps. We don't really see that happening. The Razor last pick does make sense against the TA, so it does kind of tie into just counteracting Asta, ensuring he doesn't have a good game. But the mid just feels so much stronger for Neon. We talked about that issue, Puck versus Pugna, not something you expect the Puck to lose out to, but with the removal of Spell Amp on Nulls, with the Nether Ward being a constant issue, did feel a lot tougher for Avatar mode. Not the same issue with that Batrider, so you should expect that momentum from mid here, Mike.
All right, let's see how it pans out. Game number 2 here between Neon and Polaris set to get underway. Very, very excited to see if we can get another tied series here, or whether we're going to get a 2-0, or rather another 2-0 rather than another tied series. Get the viewers all excited about, you know, the script that goes on with these score lines, as we are going to have a pause straight away. Polaris, I'm not sure how the pause time works anymore, but I'm pretty sure they don't have any, unless it resets every game.
Does reset every game, I'm sure. No more min for you this time, bro. Yeah, they've got to reset. So a bug where you can't buy. Who hasn't bought, though? Everyone seems to have bought an item. Well, maybe from strategy time, but not onward. So we'll see if that little reset fixes it, Mike. They do have a smoke out. Maybe trying to drop some early wards and look for that aggression again. Polaris' end. Neon, again, it does feel like they came out with a much stronger draft. I like that they don't have these experimental supports. Visage didn't quite work out there for Chuan. Although I will say, DP and Bane support duo, it doesn't feel like you have a big playmaker, right? And we're used to seeing Jing on these big playmaking fours, Hoodwink, Mirana being the big ones. And Bane doesn't have that same way of jumping in until you get like the Aether Lens plus maybe a Tumbler's Toy or a Keen Optic. You know, it's a lot harder for the Bane to just go in from fog, get a long range stun. So I'm keen to see how well this kind of support duo works, because let's face it, it ends up feeling like you have 2 5s here, Mike, with a Bane and DP. I mean, the Bane does have a lot he can do with some farm, but again, it's that playmaking we're looking for. It feels like for Neon, a lot of it's going to have to come out from Enryu, and to an extent, Avatar mode as well in the Batrider.
Yeah. You can still set up with Jing, but yeah, it is a bit rougher. Not that easy to get in range for a nice Nightmare, and generally you want to sit back as the Bane, wait for the Fiend's Rip opportunity later on in the team fight. 5-man smoke though, Polaris. Where are they headed? Into the mid lane, Chuan will be spotted and does break the smoke. Wards down immediately, and even Jing kind of baiting them a little bit forward here as play hard. And try and go in for a bit of a right click, but not going to be able to find one.
Neon gang.
Oh, Neon gang. I guess it's probably not going to be a 5v5 team fight, sadly, now. Probably just going to be an even trade, as the lines have been drawn out towards the bottom side for Polaris, so they aren't going to stick around, sadly.
30 seconds to battle.
Just look to secure your runes. Could still be a bit of a scuffle over top. Does look like both sides should be set for a 2-for-2 unless someone just kind of missteps. I like Polaris' position a little bit more. It is certainly more aggressive. Do have pretty good level 1 presence, so we'll have to see if Neon maybe overstays their welcome here.
Here we go. Natsumi, or rather never mind, Asta might go for a bit of a fight. See, meld out from Asta going to make it a little bit more challenging, as never mind. Sentry wards down, they'll go for a cookie, and that's the way they'll get it. It's still going to end up being a 2-for-2, but now Asta, it's going to be a lot of damage being taken. But he'll go for the meld route, and that's going to be enough for him to back his way out, as they did not see him. They tried to hide in the fog behind the tree to trick him, but it doesn't work out. It's still a lot of damage on the TA. Should make his life a little bit harder in the laning stage. Speaking of that laning stage, Asta is going to be down at the bot lane, along with Chuan, and you are going to have Play Hard on the Snapfire, and naturally, never mind, on that off-lane Pangolier. How's this bot lane go, John?
It's not the easiest for Asta. Play Hard's playing really well with the cookies, and Chuan does have a lot of presence, holding on to that level 1 to see what he needs to do, but it does feel very manageable for Polaris for the first 3 levels. Once Asta hits like level 4, level 2 refraction, it can be a bit harder to melt through those stacks. You could go the little shredder route here for Play Hard to instantly delete that along with a swash, so it's still some management there. But once side blades are up, it could be tougher.
There's your Spirit Siphon out from Chuan. So they have been trying to get very aggressive here on Polaris' end of things, and they are going to need a bit more detection. They've got a sentry available on Play Hard now. Should help the next time they do make the jump in on the Templar Assassin. Of course, mid lane, Lelouch going to be against the Batrider of Avatar mode. Should be a very unfavorable matchup for the Tiny, but in terms of CS, at the very least, he still seems just fine. Avatar, not going to go for a dive in yet. Still only level 2. Might wait for the level 3 mark before he really wants to go for a T1 tower dive. Getting those sticky napalm stacked up onto Lelouch early on. He has gone for a very early magic wand though. Already in preparation for the Batrider mid. That should make Avatar mode's life a little bit more challenging, I'd say.
Yeah, it's not the best feeling in the world. Already have full charge. Gonna have the toss back as well. So the chase with the Firefly is not gonna be as good. And this is some great patient plays from Lelouch. Is staying for the creep wave. Does have a lot of burn damage on hand here.
Avalanche will be there. Lelouch, how much? Oh, Avatar, he's in trouble now. He will still find first blood though. Does take him down. Very nice pick off there from Avatar mode as Chuan giving the tip over to the mid laner. Not a great start here for Lelouch whatsoever.
And this is what you expect of it. It's still Tiny mid up against Batrider, still a melee hero that has to deal with that sticky napalm spam. And sure, you've got the full wand up, but the burst healing it gives doesn't out-sustain the damage output of 7 or 8 stacks of napalm on. So gotta tempo yourself there on the Tiny. Keen to see what Lelouch will go for as a build. Will he emphasize the Avalanche, going for that burst play, looking for the blink? That tends to be the way our mid-Tinies go. Up against Avatar mode, that could be one way to punish him. Still have to see, as again, you're setting up for a great start for Avatar mode. And as we mentioned from Draft Mike, a lot of that momentum from Neon is going to be coming from this Batrider here.
Absolutely, it's going to be very important for Avatar mode to dominate this mid lane as best he can. Of course, for Lelouch, it's all about just staying alive, just securing creeps. No stress to try and set up kills anytime soon. Just get that, get the initial farm up, get the phase boots, get the bottle, maybe get a blink up as well. How's top lane going though? And Natsumi, he's not able to apply the most pressure on Enryu as the Razor. Like, the thing is, you can always just chain away, and even if you don't, with your high base armor and the reactive armor available, chances are you probably aren't really going to die. And as you can see, he'll just chain away every time they link him up.
Yeah, you can play with maybe trying to threaten cold feet when you know the chains are down, but the cooldown's so severely low that you don't really have the follow through to control up Enryu. I think the one issue for Neon is that your Bane doesn't have much presence. At the same time, he doesn't need to, just because it is a Timbersaw lane. Enryu can hold that as long as he wants to and just keep that build up. So Natsumi, this lower build-up isn't the worst case for the Razor. He can flash from the jungle with Eye of the Storm. Not ideal, and definitely not to the same standards as TA, but you know, you are doing a good job of Neon from stopping that overwhelming start Polaris wants to establish. And Jinx just kind of playing the jungle, preventing any sort of stacks from Xavius. Xavius, for his part, again, there is some good stuff you can do with a cold feet here, but if you don't have the follow-up, you can't really play with that nice stun.
Xavius in trouble now. Enryu going to be able to chain forward. Xavius, can he make his way out? Oh, he barely can. Unable to find the final right click. Meanwhile, bottom lane, Asta going to find himself in trouble on the TA, but does juke them out nicely. Instead, they'll try to focus down Chuan. Going to try and do the exact same and just juke them out. No siphons left, so never mind. Might just go for the chase as Asta, hoping Chuan doesn't run towards him. Will run the other way. Cookie is there. Asta gonna try and sneak his way back to the tier 1 tower as they do take down Chuan. But it will allow the TA to survive and remain within the laning stage. Chuan should be able to just TP back and salve up the TA. Everything should be just fine for Asta.
Nice little small plays coming out from Neon, sacrificing the DP. It's still a kill for Polaris. It's giving that momentum going towards Polaris in the offlane. They've hit that critical mass point where you're level 4. On Pangolier, it feels a lot more manageable to go in for the shield crash, for the swash to melt through refraction. Asta's not the most durable in this lane. Even our Snapfire going for the value point in the little Shredder can also amp up the damage. So it's a point where Neon might want to play it a little bit more safe. I mean, you still have some decent trading potential from G1, who does get the value point in silence. But
mid lane.
it's not...
Avatar, he's a big target. And they've got it, Polaris. Very nice rotation from the support here to make sure that Batrider dies and make Lelouch's life as easy as possible. You know, John, considering the matchup, Lelouch, he is top of the CS board right now. So apart from that first blood that he gave away, he's been having a pretty solid time.
Yeah, I think Avatar mode's just not able to capitalize on how much he can get done on Lelouch. The tossback is always a constant threat to break off that aggression. And you are starting to hit those timings on Tiny. He can work towards that faster blink, show up, build momentum from the mid as well.
Chuan, gonna try to run, but Cookie is gonna be there once again from Play Hard. Never mind, able to pick up another kill here on the Pango. That'll be his second of the game. Top lane Natsumi. It's again going for a static link, but it does nothing to Enryu. Just gives a bit of bonus gold, or rather damage, to the Razor. As now Avatar mode picks up the AA. Gets a nice little revenge kill before he does go back into the laning stage. Very nice for him. Again, I think the main problem is you haven't slowed down the Tiny that much. And quite frankly, Lelouch, or rather Natsumi's been having a very good time in the top lane as the Razor. Even if he isn't able to force Enryu away on the Timbersaw, he's still securing his CS, and well, Razor is more of a farmy kind of hero these days.
I think the one thing for Neon is that their draft does feel a lot slower. It goes back to those supports, Mike. Jing is on a +4 Bane, so you can't make as many plays as you'd expect him to usually do on his position 4. And they are getting some aggression bot again.
Yeah, nice knockback there on the Rolling Thunder. Asta has no way out, never mind. Completely dominating the spot lane now. 3 kills to his name, and it doesn't seem like there's any signs of him slowing down anytime soon. Make matters worse for Asta, now Nevermind's got the urn charges available. So burning through that refraction, not going to be too difficult, and well, if the TA comes back, the next time you have Rolling Thunder up, you could just go in. Mid lane, they've got Avatar mode now. He's going to be saved by the Nightmare of Jing, but you can already see the Batrider is not having a very good early game at all.
No, it's not quite building up. He does have some ancient stacks to clear out, so the gold will kick in, working towards that travels. Going to have a little bit more presence once that's up. But Polaris has just been controlling the map really well. They have surrendered top to Enryu, and just leaving Xavius alone to handle it. Timbersaw is not going to care about that too much, but they're in a position to punish here.
Enryu, he's not tanky enough to deal with the damage from Lelouch, and he's going to get scouted out in the tree line. There's your toss up, and eventually they'll have the damage this time. In fact, Asta down at bot lane is going to drop again. This is prior to the Rolling Thunder being available, John.
Yeah, it's not a good look right now for Neon. They can't do much to alleviate that pressure onto Asta. Your TA bottom network core right now on the map. Not what you want to see when you're playing that TA. And Xavius again just being a complete nuisance on that AA is just constantly scouting out the triangle. They've committed a lot of sentries to ensure the farm's not going to build up, and they've managed to find another kill as well.
Yeah, too easy. Avatar mode was trying to chase the Tiny, but he realizes he can really only go after Xavius. Does take the AA kill that he can actually afford to take, but it still feels like Polaris are finding way more on the map right now. 3-7, slight net worth lead their way. Again, this TA's just had such a rough time. Asta, it doesn't seem like it's going to get any easier for him either. Yeah, the mid lane
Polaris
they go.
Polaris just been lining up that aggression. They've got that roll ready now.
Mine, he's thinking about it. No Fiend's Grip available yet. Jing still at the level 4 mark. Might just have to buy out the tomb for himself, and it'll allow him to have that Fiend's Grip up. Chuan might want it though, which is causes a few complications here for Neon, as they are both level 5 right now. Just about. Top lane, Lelouch, double damage available. Enryu trying to push the top tier 1 tower. He's going to get punished though. There's your avalanche out. Toss up as well. They've got so much damage. Enryu, he's still alive, but not for long. Playhard going to pick it up with the Mortimer's Kisses. Another great kill here for Polaris Esports. And it seems like they're more than ready to just keep going.
Yeah, again, they're playing much more to their strengths now on Polaris. Looking for the aggression, not sitting back and farming up. Gonna hunt that triangle as well.
Oh, they're gonna find Chuan immediately. I said I wasn't a big fan of mid-tiny, but Lelouch so far has been doing a really brilliant job.
He's been playing with that burst build really well, maxed out in Avalanche and Toss now. Blink. Next item to come out, still lays off, but...
Yeah, Avatar's trying to go in. Luckily for him, they did back off on the tiny. Lelouch, he's going top lane. Enryu once again going to be targeted, it seems. As the Avalanche Toss and Ice Blast, all going to be thrown out. He's not dead yet. And he might just make it. Will. Even then though, diving that deep, they're unable to punish on Neon's end.
Yeah, they do manage to use that space well. They give Asta a couple of stacks built up on the Dire jungle. So your TA does have the Dragonlance up, is finding some farm, and they find a grip.
I mean, it's a killing spree here on the Snapfire, so it's going to be a nice bit of gold here for Asta. I suppose with the way the game's been going, as Jing, you just want to grip anyone. Just get that initial kill going for yourself, and he does give one the way of the TA. Something they desperately need right now.
It's a nice kill to get. You are getting that build up on TA. Number 2 net worth after a bit of an abysmal start. So the catch-up is there, and the space is paying off for Neon. But you will have to deal with that TA versus Razor matchup, which again, it's just very uncomfy. Let's see how much Neon can get out down the line. A bit of a smoke out from Avatar mode. Does have that lasso ready. Can't quite gap close onto Natsumi, but is looking for an opportunity. And the side of Polaris are just playing it safe. Playing that build-up game. BKB next for Natsumi. Gonna be big for him to stand and fight. Still being scouted out here, though.
Natsumi gonna break the smoke. Avatar with the knockback, but now the turnaround. Avatar sees the TP rotation from the Pango. It will get cancelled. He might still go for the chase, but he is gonna run out of Firefly soon. In the meantime, bot lane Asta, he's in trouble again. Ice Blast, it's gonna land. Nightmare's not gonna help out. Jing, I mean, he's trying to just keep the TA alive the best he can, but they just can't do it. Now Enryu's going to show up. Maybe they find Nevermind. And they do. That'll be about it, though. It's still a great trade here for Polaris, as they might try to move back in. Lelouch has joined. Avalanche is there. Nightmare will save from Jing. Mortimer's Kisses have been expended. The Bane gonna survive. Chuan, he's the one being focused. There goes Jing on the Bane now, as the toss was there from Lelouch. He'll keep going. Enryu, Lasso is there from the Batrider onto the Tiny. They'll at least get themselves a nice pick off there on Lelouch. It's Neon. That'll be enough for them.
It gives them a couple of kills they need. They sacrifice their TA to get that done. But I don't think you mind. You're slowing down the pace of the side of Polaris. You managed to get that room to go onto mid now with your TA. Desolator next. And that will force a bit of a response from Polaris. They don't have the kisses to play behind here. The roll is going to be up in 10. That might just be enough time for Neon to get this objective out of the way. Still, TPs are coming in for the defense.
It seems like just the TPs alone are going to be enough. Even the Ice Blast is preemptively coming through, just in case Neon wanted to go for the fight.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
You've got to appreciate how fast Asta has caught up on this TA so far. Only just behind the Razor, and that's not going to take him too long to overtake. In fact, he's doing so as we speak. Even after that terrible laning stage for the Templar Assassin, Asta is making a comeback. You aren't going to have that amazing mid-game timing you were hoping for, but it's still going to be decent enough to try and fight back here against Polaris. And at the end of the day, it is still a TA. Still a very scary hero to be up against going into this game number 2. Polaris, they'll be safe until the BKB's up at the least faster, I think. Once the BKB is available for the TA, that's when things get extremely worrying.
Yeah, I mean, you still have the Razor response to the TA. So you can always play with a static link. I think that's my bigger concern right now for Neon. How do you stop the Razor from just staying on top? All you really have is grip. Razor might not be the ideal grip target here, as you have to worry about the Rolling Thunder from Nevermind. So it's a bit back and forth. Perhaps they just commit the lasso onto one of them and just play from there. That could be one way to respond. Speaking of that lasso...
No. Avalanche Toss not going to be enough, but Xavius will have the damage. Touch will do it. Lelouch still haunting this Batrider. Enryu, though, in the meantime, is going to go after the mid-tier 1 tower, and it does seem like he is going to be able to get away with it. Natsumi, he'll try for the link, but he needs some form of disable. Oh, the chain's missed. What? Cookie's going to be there. That'll lock him down. Lelouch is out with the Avalanche Toss. Oh, a small error from Enryu cost him his life once again.
Yeah, that's a big kill. I mean, he did take them to tier 1, but this opens up Polaris to siege that opposing tier 1 as well. Fortify gonna be forced out. We've still got an opportunity here with how much damage you have. You still have a tiny with a DD as well, so short work of that tower evens out the map control, and Polaris finding themselves on really good footing here. 6-14, less than 1k lead onto Polaris. Neon do hit these item spikes, so Asta has the Deso, working towards that blink. So your TA is becoming a bit of a big issue. BKB is also being worked on here for Avatar mode. That's going to help the cons massively. So you are starting to see some ways to fight in here for the side of Neon, but Polaris, we've got that BKB we've been waiting for, Natsumi, and again, that will just allow him to stand in front and get the static link off onto the TA every single time. You're going to have to commit either the lasso or the grip to kind of deal with that, and you do at least have 2 big single target spells to pierce through the BKBs. It's just a matter of execution now on Neon, and that's where it gets a little bit shaky. Neon's been a little bit up and down despite the improvements they've had throughout the past few months. There can still be moments where a more experienced team can break them open.
Never mind. Gonna find the Bane. Jing, no way out of this one, surely. Doesn't go to Xavius. Nice easy kill there for Polaris. Not quite the kill you would have wanted. Obviously, Enryu would have been the much bigger target, but he's going to prove to be a little bit more challenging as Asta now. Going to show up. Never mind. Not going to get caught. Just fine to blink away on the Pangolier.
Neon gang.
Neon, they still seem very confident. Like, Asta is still farming very nicely. BKB timing is coming slowly but surely, as there is going to be a 4-man smoke now. Polaris try and head down into the mid lane.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
They aren't going to find the target they wanted, though. Not quite yet. Enryu might show up at the wrong moment, and he does. Natsumi, he'll make the jump in. Avalanche is there with the toss out again. And once you land that Ice Blast, it's just too easy. Is there any objective they can really go for, though? I mean, they're pinging out Roshan, but I don't really believe they'll have the damage for it.
They still have a tiny, I mean, you don't have the shard up on Lelouch. It's not a max out tree grab, but the damage is still there, and you've got the little shredder for some minus armor. Not the quickest Rosh, but Neon aren't in position to contest either. They do have a ward. Jing is watching. At the side of Polaris knows something is up. They go just check the high ground once more. They do have that forward ward here. C1. So the sports are aware something might be up. But slowly but surely their Rosh's fall. If Neon doesn't drag in at least their Batrider, they're not going to be able to contest him. It doesn't look like they will. That's a big objective to lose. Polaris, with 2 lives up, it doesn't feel like Neon can handle that.
Roshan's just so slow, though. Like, they've still got time to react. TPs are coming. It seems like they want to make that decision now. They found the AA. Xavius, he's going to drop first. Quan, he'll go for the silence, pop the exorcism, but it's all to naught. I don't think they can force a fight now. Like, unless they can find Lelouch. Mid lane, they'll slow him up. He's got his team right behind him, though. So they're not going to make any use of this exorcism. Just trying to set up for the Roshan fight, but it's going to be wasted.
Yeah, it's a big ult to give out. Long cooldown. They don't manage to find an objective or fight off of it, and Polaris still come out on top. They sacrifice their AA to have a secondary life for Natsumi, which is backed up by the BKB, so handling the Razor becomes much tougher. You're going to have to use the grip on one of the lives, ideally the second, Whether or not you have enough to eat through his first life without single target control is a separate matter. You do manage to get the BKB up here on Avatar mode, so he can also stand and fight in the middle of all of this and not care too much about the control coming through from Polaris. But it does feel like he needs that blink up here, Mike. Again, you don't have a playmaker on your pawns for your offlane can jump in, but Enryu is more of a damage soaker than a real initiator. So you need that blinking Batrider to truly have a hero locked in. And that is still a ways off. Batrider can flash farm. There is at least that to play with, as they will start to make their way up onto that tier 2 top. Again, with the Desolator, it doesn't take too long to siege. They'll drop their bot tier 1 in exchange, but if they get the room here to get that push going, this could open up the map a lot more for Neon despite dropping that Aegis.
Yeah, absolutely. Neon, they're going to try it. Lelouch, he's going to be there. TPs, they're going to be cancelled off. At least a couple. Lelouch, he's still going to make the jump in. He's got Jink down, but he's all alone. Oh boy, bit of miscommunication here from Polaris as they give up a pretty massive kill on the Tiny. And Neon, they should be able to just keep going. Nothing to stop them now.
Got the Timber Shot to tank through, tier 2 faults, they can take the outpost, take that jungle for themselves. Polaris just opting to play bot, finding farm where they can without that Tiny up. After mode still has Lasso ready, so he's keen to play here.
He's trying to chase down Playhard. Flame Break is not going to knock him back the way he wanted, but he might just be able to reach Avatar. Forced the BKB up for this one. Problem is Natsumi's going to be around to try and punish. He won't quite though. Avatar mode, you see how hard it is for him to even commit to a kill on the Snapfire with the lasso. There's just always something to be worried about.
Yeah, and again, that's forcing out a BKB charge here from Bat. Fresh BKB charge gone. You don't get the biggest kill in the world for it. You are buying space out though. This is breaking up Polaris. It's not giving them the openings they want. Lelouch is back with Blink ready. Could figure out where Avatar mode is, but does get a good read. TP's out in the nick of time. Not going to find a punish. Neon, they managed to wrangle back this lead here, Mike. 3k their way. TA's looking massive. Asta just out-farming everyone, given that space he had. And again, bouncing back from a rather slow laning start. Once that blink is up in the TA, you have the follow-through to work the front line. You've got the BKB to protect. All you worry about in these fights is Natsumi. You're not dealing with that big farming Tiny. You're worried about the Razors sapping away your damage. But if you can somehow break him off from these fights, then TA has a lot of room to wiggle here.
Polaris? Are they set up for a fight? Like, it seems like Neon... Still a bit scattered, Neon. Never mind. I thought they were the ones to set up, but it looks like they just came down for a defense. Natsumi. Poke and prod at that tier 2 bot. Now Polaris are grouped up. So it certainly feels like they're more than ready now for that big team fight. Neon not going to respond though, hanging around the mid lane instead, just forcing in the creep wave. Are going to hang around the Dire jungle instead. Looks like this bottom tier 2 will go down for free. Neon won't mind because they already got the top tier 2 tower. They'll put a bit of pressure on the mid tier 2 as Chuan. Even pop the exorcism to force them back ASAP. Still gets about half the HP of the tower down, which is not bad. There's going to be a smoke up. A 4-man here from Polaris. They'll go through the river. Into the Radiant Triangles where they want to go. Polaris might find Enryu first. Smoke is broken. Enryu going to get cancelled. Miss chains into the Ice Blast and the toss-up. They should have enough. Meanwhile, Xavius does go down to Asta's Natsumi. He's sapping all the damage away, but Asta, he's still fighting. There goes the Aegis. Asta is going to run. And we'll try to, as Avatar mode, going to move in for the lasso. A very interesting team fight so far, as they're getting picked off one by one. Nevermore, or rather Nevermind, trying to back, and will do so. Avatar, still looking for that Pango. Not going to be able to get him. Natsumi's going to be fine as well as they lose. He'll make the jump back in onto the Bane. That'll be Jin gone. Asta really can't fight with that low HP pool. Does need to back off. Avatar, though, wants to try and move in. Static Link is there. He's forced the BKB TP out. He is going to make it. But now Lelouch is going to jump in and they found Asta. He was still around. He never went back to the fountain. Enryu gonna show up. One by one they go. And one by one they fall. Enryu, no chance of survival with the Ice Blast. A very messy fight for Neon.
Yeah, they didn't wait long enough. The Aegis was about to expire on Natsumi. If they just waited out in that killing blow, would have found a Razor without that secondary life, and that fight would have been very different for the side of Polaris. Still, again, they find these openings in Polaris and Neon just slipping up here and there, playing a bit too greedy, get punished for it. All of a sudden, opens up this push onto the mid tier 2, not gonna last too long. And for Neon's end, they've got to find those openings. They need to prevent the link from Natsumi from coming through every single time. It's going to cut Asta off. That BKB is not going to help you against that. And that's really just going to be on the Batrider and on the Bane to kind of manage that. And it just forces this targeting issue for them to stop the Razor. You've got to commit either the lasso or grip. Do have a bit of a disconnect, some packet loss coming through from the side of Neon, as again you'd expect from the Philippines. Like it does happen every now and again.
Well, Avatar mode's going to be back. Hopefully that his issue is resolved. Just have to wait for Enryu to make his join. And no, Avatar mode, not happy with the ping. It's going to have to reconnect once again. State of the game though, John. I mean, even with the TA hitting a bit of a spike now, it just hasn't transitioned into the kind of fight they've been wanting. At what point do you think that Neon can take the fight?
Honestly, I feel like they can take the fights now. It's just that Polaris is positioning themselves really well and just managing to get that static link off from Natsumi every time. If you manage to isolate the Razor first, prevent the static link from coming out, it feels a lot more manageable. And again, that last fight actually looked pretty good for Neon. The issue was they didn't wait for the Aegis expire. And that secondary life gave a lot for Natsumi to show up.
Well, Fiends rip out. They've got the AA, and once again, Jing kind of just doing what he can for the team. See, it feels a bit wasted for the Fiends grip, but you've got to get something going for Neon. Polaris. They wanted the fight. There's going to be a 4-man smoke here from Neon, though, where they'll wrap around through to the mid lane. If they can get a good team fight to go their way, it could lead into that tier 2 mid tower. In fact, they might even run into the Dire jungle. Play hard. He's going to be around and will break the smoke, but hasn't seen anyone, so Asta is going to jump in. A nice scatter blast. So the Snapfire in big trouble. Essence Ring. It's not going to be enough. Who else have they got? Well, never mind. He's going to be all right. He'll roll away. They do at least force out the Rolling Thunder. And it might still open up the mid-tier 2 tower for them if Neon really want to take the risk.
They've still got the X already. Polaris, though, going for their own smoke play now.
She loves going after Jing, but instead, where's he going? It's onto Enryu, onto the Timber. Ice Blast once again, going to make it impossible to survive here as Enryu is twat. It's a double damage Tiny. One hit with the Echo Saber will do it.
Yeah, and you know, when you're playing Tiny mid, sure, that initial build-up is a bit awkward. You can always transition as, you know, the old core Tiny, get your shard up, Echo Sabers up, Silver Edge next for Lucy. You're basically dealing with Tiny and Razor now as big win conditions on Polaris. They find Natsumi out.
They do. Lasso will be there. Lelouch trying to jump in and help out, but the BKB going to make it too hard as Natsumi trying to back off. They've got so much right-click damage on Lelouch, but they won't get the Batrider. Asta, he's going to keep going. Jing has Fiend's Grip up in a moment. Not going to pop. They'll be satisfied with the Razor kill. There's Neon group up. Once again, they might go for a smoke. Knowing the Razor's down for 50, it's a great opportunity for Neon. It doesn't seem like they're interested. I mean, both teams right now will be playing for the next Roshan anyway, so you might just be kind of hanging around this area waiting for Roshan to spawn up, and well, that'll be the real objective to try and fight over for either team.
Neon will go for that smoke play, though. If they find that kill here before the Roche respawns, that's going to open up that objective big time. Polaris sticking around for that top tier 1 gives a good angle for Neon here.
It certainly does. Jing will get a Nightmare onto the Pango. That's a nice target to start on. Lelouch going to jump right in onto Enryu, trying to burst him down. Ice Blast will connect Xavius. He's done his job. In the meantime, never mind though, is gone. And that'll be enough. Polaris do not want to fight without the Rolling Thunder. That Juan will take the life of Play Hard, it seems. Uphill miss with the Meld Strike, but Juan, he'll take it himself, no problem. It's been one of the rare fights this game that has gone the way of Neon. So happy days for them. And Roshan should be up. In fact, there it is.
It's not going to take too long for them to deal with that with Asta up and running. With even just the Crystal is up. Daedalus not too far off as well. So this rush is going to translate into a lot of spikes for the side of Neon. Buyback forced out from Playhard. They know the rush is happening. They've got Kisses on the ready. Lelouch could look for a good blink angle, but he doesn't have the BKB up.
They'll start with the Kisses. Lelouch, there he is. He's in. Onto the Bat Rider. Nightmare gonna save Avatar Mode from all that damage. He's gonna survive, but that's his BKB on cooldown. Not great news for Neon. He'll go for a reset, but that's gonna buy time for Polaris now to move in. They've got the trap vision. They are gonna get taken out immediately, as it seems like Neon might have to let this go the other way. Juan, he's gonna try and be a menace here, but he may get caught out with the cold feet. And he does. Ages to go the way of Polaris. Juan, not caught yet, but there's your avalanche. Only one hit necessary from Lelouch. On the backside though, Natsumi. He's gone too far on the Razor. He's gonna get taken out once more. They will not be able to make use of the Aegis yet. In fact, they may. Lelouch will be chased down. Oh boy, they might lose it straight away. Asta's got that Daedalus up now. Never mind. He's copping so much damage from this TA. Lelouch, he is going to drop the first life. Do they want to keep going? Flame Break is not going to land, but oh, there's your Fiend's Grip. That should be enough to hold down the Tiny. Asta trying to aim for everyone else. Will eventually go after Lelouch. Lelouch with the TP plays barely going to make it. Xavius is gone though. Play hard. I don't think he survives. Suddenly Neon looks to be the team ahead in this game number 2.
Yeah, they're doing a couple of things right in Neon. They're slipping up in the couples as well. I mean, they managed to isolate the Razor, take him out of the fight once more, providing that opening for Asta to just be a menace up front. But in that follow-up fight, they take the first life of our Tiny, Lelouch, and Asta suddenly starts focusing on everyone else. Like, he was not in line to get the damage off onto the Tiny, and he needs more time to kill off the Tiny. There's a lot of armor to work through there. So if he was hitting the Tiny 2 seconds earlier, that would have been a very clean kill, and Neon comes out on top a lot stronger, but they don't manage to get that done. And this is a Tiny with a shard now. This is a Tiny still working towards the Silver Edge. It's a core Tiny. It's your typical core Tiny now. And if Neon don't manage to find and kill that Tiny, even after dealing with the Razor, Polaris still has a lot to play with. Neon will go for a 5-man smoke here. Maybe this is where they compensate for that.
Lelouch, he can't be the first target, but they're going to aim him down. There's your lasso out. They've got the Tiny. It's a great way to start. Neon, they can move into that mid-tier 2 now. No buyback available. That was not a dieback on the Tiny.
They didn't see the gem. Never mind, actually just drives by and picks it up. So they missed out on that little gem. Good efficiency play from Polaris. You know, that's against tiny mistakes here and there. Still have that opening. Tier 2, Fortify forced out. Tier 2 still set to fall, and that's going to open up the high ground with no glyph for Polaris. Even though it does stall out just a bit, but this is a TA with Deso. The towers also don't take too long with a TA on hand. Not as fast as Tiny. Still fairly speedy push here.
That it is, John. Without the buyback on Lelouch, it's going to make it very hard to defend. Tier 3 tower slowly just being chipped away at by Asta. Henry will happily tank away at the Tier 3 tower. It will make his life a little bit harder with the Spirit Vessel, and it seems like Neon have had enough. They won't rush too much for this. They'll just maintain that net worth lead and try to grow it now. Asta has well and truly pulled ahead of everybody on the map. It's, for the TA at the very least, it's that scary time where you can just one-shot supports at the very least if you can. I wonder what kind of itemization he goes for next on the Templar.
It's fairly open. A Hurricane Pike has some utility here. It is the Hurricane Pike first. Wouldn't mind something like the Ags into synthesized Ags, just so you can work the map a lot more. It's start to be really oppressive. You've got Travels and a Batrider to also get this done, and you can just be a menace. AC is a weird one for TA, but I don't mind it against Tiny. Although a Lincoln's probably makes more sense to block the static link, so could just go for an additional defensive item. They will go for another 5-man smoke. Neon's been on point with the movement when the smokes line up here.
Xavius gonna be spotted. Jing trying to go for a nightmare, not gonna find it. Where's the lasso? They actually found the razor. Not Natsumi again. He's gonna try and back out, but he's gone. And now the Fiend's grip out. They've got the tiny. Lelouch is gonna try to run. Shadowblade is there. He might make it out, and he has. It's a close call. Asta back in. Want to play hard with the cookie. Gonna allow him to get his way out of there. I can't believe the Tiny survived that.
No detection from the side of Neon. They didn't have dusts on hand on any of their heroes, so they get punished, not knowing that timing was up for Lelouch. Still find a big kill in the Razor, but you want to get a grip on Lelouch. You don't have that grip now. You don't have the lasso as well. So there's an opening for Polaris if they want to find some aggression themselves. Are opting to play it safe. Very close game so far, Mike. 21-27, 4K lead for Neon, but you're going into the late game now, up against Tiny. Lelouch, his itemization is set to block that single target control. Silver Edge into Lincoln's. So that same play with a grip is not going to be there unless you manage to break it off first with, say, the Enfeeble. Going to take some discipline on Jing to enable that. And for Avatar mode, he's going to have to play around with the Force Staff there. You don't want to get caught off guard when that Lincoln's is up. It's still going to take some time, but that is a bit of a second win. Still Neon, again with a 5-man smoke. Again, they've been really on point with that. I believe that was spotted out by their forward ward here, and Polaris will smoke in response.
Oh, breaking on the smoke there for Nevermind. And Xavius revealing the position, Enryu. Almost hoping they went in for it, but they do not. They must realize the team's right behind the Timber. Avatar. Looking for a lasso, not going to find it. He gets bursted down, Lelouch. No hesitation. We'll move in onto Enryu. They've got the Timber controlled up. He's going to try to use his way out, but it's not going to work. In fact, Fiend's Grip does at least catch Nevermind. They are going to try and fight this one, Neon. They've committed buybacks, but everyone's retreated. Even Avatar Mode popped the BKB after his buyback, but nobody's around for him.
Yeah, it's a bit messy from Neon this time around. Again, they smoked under that forward ward, and they realize it now. They get the D ward, but they smoke right on the side where they would have been spotted out. So that counter smoke from Polaris was perfect. The bait was very obvious from Neon's end, and Polaris minimized their losses. They lose Nevermind, but your Razor's fine, your Tiny's fine, and you're allowed to still build up. Like, Lelouch is still going to be a massive threat. Once that Silver Edge is up, once Lincoln's is up, he's very well protected. And you're seeing Natsumi actually just opt for an Aeon Disc now, has the AC up and running, so just wants to ensure he stays alive to get the static link off. And that's concerning for Neon, because they've been winning these fights because Natsumi's immediately deleted. That Aeon Disc is going to give him some time to use the BKB, to use the static link, and start to remove the damage from Asta. And for Neon's side, it just feels like they're putting all their eggs onto Asta. He's their only big win condition right now, and it's
Nice lasso. They've got one. Xavius is going down. Avatar.
Oh.
Ronovator's going to trap up Lelouch, but he's got a BKB. Asta, he'll still jump in, still try for the fight. Natsumi, he'll try to sap the damage away from the Templar Assassin. Asta, still running. They've got the Timber instead. Enryu, he'll be alright for now, but not for long. The Scatterblast will be enough, and now the Rolling Thunder, never mind. He'll move in. Tron will be targeted on the DP. He's going to be okay. Never mind, though. Still catching him out. Does take him down. 2 diebacks available for Polaris to try and abuse. They'll try for Avatar. They cannot cancel the TP. Polaris, they'll try to move in that mid-tier 3 tower.
Radiant's middle tower.
Not going to take long. Not with a Tiny.
Nah. It's really quick. And Enfeeble is slowing them down just a tad bit. The attack damage reduction. It is actually significant. It's minus 200 on the Tiny, so definitely putting a dent in that progression. For Polaris' part, they don't have the Roche to play for here either, so no big objectives to take. Could have been a lot worse for Neon. And they are starting to get punished for the move. Again, they need to find a way to remove Natsumi from these fights. If the static link goes off, your win condition in Asta disappears. You don't have any damage to compensate on your other cores.
Oh, here we go. Lelouch, Avatar toss is there. They've got the Batrider. This will be another tieback. Oh boy, Xavius is going to drop at the least. Asta, he'll try to clean up. Lelouch, he's looking to move back in. Asta, no BKB available. Will get tossed up. Lelouch, he'll hold him down. Neon. They are losing more and more as time goes on. And in we go. Natsumi, have a look around.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's middle tower has fallen.
They'll get them in tier 3. I don't think they'll stick around for the racks, will they? Well, Natsumi's trying. Everyone else is quite low behind him. He's just trying to get as much done as he can while he can. Maybe just hoping for the TA buyback to come in. Then Ryu. Gonna get linked up. Lelouch can finally move in to take this one out. And he will.
Radiant's middle barracks are under
So suddenly
attack.
Polaris Esports back on top of this game number 2.
They've managed to, again, find these small mistakes from Neon,
Radiant's top tower
blow the game
is under
open.
attack.
They've got a DD to fall back to that Neon does have under a trap that Polaris are in position to take and clear out the last outer tower. Roshan spawning right in the nick of time here as well, Mike. With that DD on Lelouch, not going to take too long for them to find. They don't stick around to watch the Roche though. They missed that opportunity, instead wanting to push high ground here. There is still that buyback left for Asta if he wants to come back in. Polaris with the DD on Lelouch. These towers don't take too long at all, Mike.
Oh boy. Yeah, it certainly doesn't, John. I believe that was 5 hits on the tier 3 tower as they do make the move in onto the Timber Saw. Enryu gonna try and fight back with his own BKB, but that's gonna wear off. Won't be available for the team fight. They don't want to buy back on Asta. He's only got 8 seconds left to rejoin, but they are gonna give up the top lane of barracks for this. So Polaris will get away with another Rax taken for free. Only 1 remaining now for Neon. And the funniest part is, like, Asta's the strongest hero on the map, it feels like. But if he dies once, you just can't contest how fast Lelouch will take your towers.
Not even just dying. If Asta gets fully static linked, he is useless. So the key condition for Neon's jumping Natsumi first, preventing that Razor from being industry, or forcing a fight away from the Razor. Which is what Neon's set to do now. They've got the smoke in a good position. They just need to find the angle and go into the Roche afterwards.
Could be very awkward though. They'll make the jump in, but they miss out. BKB used up. Avatar, he's gonna find a target, but no! Oh, he broke the Lincolns! Lelouch baits him forward. There goes your Batrider. No buyback available. Asta, he's lost all his damage once again. He can't do anything. In the meantime, Chuan got caught out. He'll survive. Instead, Enryu will be the one to go down. And now Lelouch jumps right back in. They've got the TA. They want this game. It's in the bag. GG's called. Neon, they've seen enough. It seemed like a great game 2 for him, but they just could not make it work.
Polaris played really well, and Lelouch had a great time on his mid. Somehow, again, drawing even, and even in some cases, edging out over Avatar Mode's Batrider. Not what you expect for a melee matchup up against the Bat, but he plays with a really good toss play every now and again, just not giving that angle for Avatar Mode. And for Neon, it felt like this was their game to win. You know, they had such a strong start. They had that build-up coming through from Asta, who wasn't contested. They managed to get a handle on Natsumi, and whenever they forced those fights with a Razor down, the TA had a lot of room to just do the damage, burn down everyone else, leave the Tiny for last. And just those couple of small mistakes cost them. Like the fact that they didn't find that second life on Lelouch when his Aegis did fall in the middle of that one fight, just costing them. And some of that inexperience shows through. Like Chuan is the guiding voice. Chuan's trying to build up these younger players on the team, but there's still a lot to work on, it feels like. Polaris, using that experience, using their knowledge in the game, even though they were split apart, Nevermind and Playhard are very experienced pro players as well in this tier. And they just managed to show that off once more. So, great plays from Polaris. They find that win, compensating for that earlier loss. For Neon, they've got to regroup elsewhere. The promise is still showing through, the improvements shining through, but it does feel like they need to find more ways to improve in some of that decision-making here, Mike.
Yeah, that they do, John. With that, though, we are going to head off to a very short 20-minute break. And, of course, after that break, we have our final series of the night coming up. It's going to be RSG versus Patriots, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly. We'll have a look at the schedule once we switch over to the break screen. It is MLPDotA and JohnXFire. We'll see you all again in roughly 20 minutes.